Let's go!
One of my best kind of memories from the Super Bowl, 2014, we're playing the Legion of Boom.
Tom freaking Brady. We're breaking down his Super Bowls. Is this his best one ever? Comment below. And look, we're going to go to the first big mistake he made in this game. You'll see a twist stunt get home from Michael Bennett, who was nothing short of incredible in this game. Brady panics and throws his football into heavy coverage. This was never being completed, and it's intercepted. Now, you can make a very strong case that this interception actually ended up helping Tom Brady because the DB here, Lane, ended up getting seriously injured at the end of this play. And you saw it on the very next drive. So it's still 0-0. You get a stacked receiver combination right here. And what you want to run against this is a shallow drag. This is a very easy read for Tom Brady because if he sees a blitzer come through the middle right here, guess what? He knows this intermediate middle is where he wants to go with the football, okay? Then you have the backup DB who is in, and he's actually one of my favorite DBs ever. He's in a tough spot, right? That's what they're doing. They're trying to set up matchups versus the backup. Lane no longer in the game. And this is why this 3rd and 9 gets completed, because it's not a big deal that you give up the reception. It's the yards afterwards. So even though this was open and it was an easy Brady read, he's able to hit Jules right in the chest, and he's able to make an absolute huge gain after the catch. And, of course, the Legion of Boom makes the touchdown-saving tackle.
It's Friday night before the Super Bowl. We've, of course, had like 11 or 12 days to prepare. And I come back from dinner, and it's probably like 9 o'clock, and I wasn't feeling great about the red area. And Josh McDaniels is in the staff room. And I said, hey, we got to go through the red area. I said, it's just too hard down there. They play too much zone, and if I look to the left, Earl moves to the left. I look to the right, Earl moves to the right. I was like, we need a few easy plays where I can just stick the ball in there on a play-action pass, get everyone, the linebackers, to step up, and let me just rip something to the back of the end zone. So we installed 3 plays on Friday night. After 2 weeks of preparation, all the practice is done. And one of the touchdowns is to JoJo LaFell, the first one of the game.
Seattle just scored, and one thing that was interesting is there was a huge discrepancy in throws up to this point. Brady had about 16-ish throws, and Russell Wilson only had 4. So to have this score tied at 7-7, but then drive down the field and take the lead was nothing short of incredible. That was ridiculous right there, Amendola. Tom Brady, you can argue, alongside Drew Brees, the best quarterback in NFL history when it comes to throwing to running backs out of the backfield. It won Brees his only Super Bowl. It won Brady a few Super Bowls. You get a little rail route right here from the RB. Brady throws it, and he hits Vareen right in the chest for him to be able to potentially make a play. But, of course, Bobby Wagner, the Hall of Famer, is able to bring him down. All right, so let me brag on my LSU guy again, Brandon JoJo LaFell. They run a little reverse here. I want you to see what actually happened. So they run this reverse. Edelman does a good job beating the unblocked end, but the end actually does a good job, pushing Edelman further back than what looked like it needed to be. So Brandon LaFell makes this block on Thurl Simon, the backup, and then he gets off this block and is able to cut down on Earl Thomas in the open field, and Thomas is not able to make that tackle, and Edelman is ready to get out of bounds, all while Bill Belichick is able to keep his arms crossed. All right, this is one of the biggest plays in this game, and it shows you the absolute brilliance of Tom Brady, okay? So left tackle gets beat really bad off the edge, but Brady likes this matchup so much, okay? It's too high coverage. Middle of the field should be where you should attack. And he's got a running back at a leverage disadvantage versus a really good linebacker, okay? But Brady still likes it. Now look, this is a dirty pocket. But because Brady is so good at keeping his footwork, not going too far back into the pocket, he's able to still make this throw, avoid the edge rusher, and get this football to Vareen. Look at where it's thrown. That's a ridiculous catch right there. And he's able to make a ridiculous run after the catch. So Brady hit Vareen on a little out route for a 4-yard gain, and we get to here. This is just simple stuff. You get man-to-man. Because there's a linebacker out here, Brady knows that more than likely this is going to be just straight man-to-man coverage, and all he has to do is see that Earl Thomas is picking up Vareen in the flat. Now notice what happens. You've been hitting the running back out of the backfield nonstop with a linebacker guarding the running back. But this time you put a safety on the running back. While this is a better player in theory to guard the running back, you know that the linebacker out here has no safety up over the top. So that's where you should go every single time. Rob Gronkowski, a little stutter and go. And look at where this ball is placed, y'all. I mean, look at this beautiful bean footage. Wow, bang. Right on the money versus KJ Wright, and it is a tutty. Ridiculous stuff. Seahawks drive down the field and get a game-leading field goal. So Brady's like, look, I think a blitz is coming. It ends up coming, and guess what? There's still somebody unblocked coming right through the A-gap. We'll talk about that in just a second. But you'll see here, while Brady is getting absolutely positively dismantled, he is able to get this football to Rob Gronkowski. And how is he able to get this football to Rob Gronkowski when he's getting hit? It's because Brady read this coverage to perfection, okay? So if a blitz does indeed come, the only coverage that the Seahawks could really be in is cover 1, right? So Brady knows that this is press man across the way, and he's got Gronk against a more run-stopping safety in Cam Chancellor. So he's trusting Rob Gronkowski to make this play, and while he's getting smashed, he delivers his football right on the money. Okay, ridiculous stuff. See what happens here. So remember, Brady points his hand out, hey, we got to get this sorted out. Maybe this was Brady's fault, maybe it wasn't. But either way, it's either the running back needs to pick up Bennett or the center needs to pick up Bennett. But what happens is they both actually go to pick up Bobby Wagner. You'll see 66 and the running back Vareen pick up Bobby Wagner, and that's why Bennett was untouched over the middle. But even with all of that, Brady got mauled and was still able to make this absolutely positively ridiculous throw. Really bad INT right here from Tom. And one thing is, when you're playing these really good defenses, I hate snapping the football with less than a few seconds on the play clock, but there was no running game, and there was a lot of these 3rd and 9. So what Tom decides to do here is he tries to work this window to Rob Gronkowski. Bobby Wagner at the snap floated all the way back here, and he tries to fit this football into a tight window while his protection kind of sort of broke down, and it is a bad Tom INT. And guess what? Seahawks have all the momentum. We get to this 3rd and 9, and it's a drop right here from Danny Amendola. I really wish this ball would have been caught to see if Belichick would have gone for this. Man, look, Tom puts it right on the money. Obviously, Bobby Wagner is right there, so he might still not have caught it. But it would have been an interesting decision. Man, the Patriots' protection was a mess. The fact that they were able to still win this game is still beyond me. All right, this is a big mistake right here by Tom. So they're actually running all verts. So vertical here, switch release vertical here. This ball should be thrown to the running back 12 times out of 10, but Brady starts to panic, right? He's like, man, we got to start hitting some deep stuff, and he takes a sack, right? This sack should have never been taken. 3rd and Franklin, Super Bowl on the line with this play. A lot of punts going back and forth. You're down by 10, and what do? Well, first off, 66, who had a tough game, really dominates Bennett right here. He gets him to the ground. They tried to run a little loop stunt right here. And here's the thing when you're running loops and stuff like that, because they had their ends rushing so far up the field, if you lose your feet, that opens up so much space for Tom Brady to operate right here. So he's able to step up. Julian Edelman is able to find a little weak spot in the coverage, and Tom throws it right on the money. Edelman takes a huge shot and almost is able to keep his feet. Okay, so this next play is a play that the Kansas City Chiefs run quite a bit. And we've already done a deep dive on plays such as this one. These little slip screens where the running back and or tight end acts like he's blocking at first and then he releases. Okay, it's such an easy completion and it's so tough to defend, right? But overall, the Seahawks do a good job mitigating this damage right here because Bobby Wagner is a beast, but you still pick up some good yards here. This honestly was genius, though, from the Patriots, okay? Tom knows that the Legion of Boom is known for middle of the field, close, cover 3 type of coverage, right? So the reason why that's the case is because Chancellor, safety, likes to get physical and be in the box, right? So these go balls down the sideline, if you're playing press man, this is where you want to attack, right? The backup DB, Daryl Simon. So you get some LSU on LSU action here. It's just like the play that Tom broke down for us a little bit earlier. Play action fake, except instead of this being an in-breaker, it's just a go ball. And this time, Daryl Simon makes the play, okay? But the thought process was really, really good here from Tom, and you'll see why that's important here in a second. So right now you're looking at the play of all plays that's influenced offenses throughout the NFL, right? It's what the Patriots have done more than most teams. It's a play called Hoss Juke, okay? So it's out of 5 wide, and basically it's a comeback right here, go, and the juke route is from a slot or a Y or a tight end, whatever you want to call it, okay? So Brady is setting the protection, and once again, the Seahawks in this game, they did a good job getting pressure, but as this game wore on, Tom did a better and better job of just climbing the pocket, and this time it ended up being a 3-man rush where the DT actually matched Julian Edelman over the middle. So the DT's job is to cover any in-breaker, and they're ready for Hoss Juke. Normally, Hoss Juke is run with an option where you can cut in or you can cut out or you can just stop, okay? So what Julian Edelman does here is he sees that this isn't going to be open, but he finds another window right here. Tom steps up into the pocket, and you'll see that all the pass rushers ran past Tom, okay? And guess what? It's wide open, Julian Edelman, bang. Okay, it's very, very, very simple stuff. It's a good job by Edelman finding that spot, and he picks it up, and he almost scores this. Ridiculous stuff. Really freaking ridiculous. All right, so we get to here, and man, this is a bad mistake right here from Julian Edelman. This is a really good whip route. Once again, they're attacking Daryl Simon, and this should have been a tutty. You miss it, and you get to the next play.
And the second one is to Danny Amendola later in that game. And we hadn't practiced him at all for 11 days.
All right, so you hear that Tom said, hey, we put this into our red zone package, and man, this honestly is very creative stuff. You know, you're thinking that it's just going to be an in-breaker right here, and man, it's kind of weird. It's kind of hard for me to even explain this. Amendola sees that Cam Chancellor's heels are on the end zone, so he just floats to the back of the end zone, puts his hand up into the air, and says, hey, I am open, and guess what? He finds him. This play right here probably gives Earl Thomas nightmares. You know, this is just a very weird way to run this little inside slant, okay? And then he leaks upfield. But if Earl Thomas would have just kept coming, he probably makes this play. Brady throws this. You can see Earl Thomas stops, and it's kind of just an awkward play, but it works. And they score the tutty. Okay, it's a really good catch. So I know James White will always be that running back out of the backfield. And, you know, if you're a true Patriots fan, you know Kev Falk is the best running back to ever play with Tom. But honestly, Vareen, you can make a very strong case, had just as good of a Super Bowl as any of them. Look at this. I mean, that's his second difficult catch he had to make in this game. What does Tom decide to do? Well, keep working the running back out of the backfield, okay? It's one of those things that you just got to keep doing. You know, you missed him on a somewhat similar concept that we showed you earlier, and bang, hits him right in the chest for a first down. And then guess what? The Patriots decide to stick with quick game. And there's two reasons why I like going so quickly here. Number one, you can cut block and do different things with your protection because obviously you had struggled blocking them. And then just number two, defenders have a tendency when the game is close like this to play more on their heels, right? So obviously you get this football to Julian Edelman, and this is a backup. Let's get Daryl Simon can't make the play. Lane getting hurt early was just so big, and Edelman's able to fall forward for an extra 5 there. Please hit that subscribe button and let me know which quarterback or any player's performance you want me to break down next during this long offseason on Power Hour NFL. So, this ends up being a very, very, very sexy play from not only Brady, but the Seahawks, okay? And basically, in Super Bowls, you need your Hall of Fame players to make Hall of Fame plays, okay? So, watch what the Seahawks decide to do. They know that up the middle, the protection had been very shaky. So, they bring Bruce Irvin, an edge rusher, over the center, and they pause his rush, and then he decides to go. So once he backs out, take a look at what happens. The center looks to the left because he thinks Bruce Irvin is not actually pressuring. But guess what? He actually is pressuring, and the center is late 66 coming over to get over on Brady, but Brady takes another hit head on and is able to get this football to Rob Gronkowski. Now, remember what we talked about. Hall of Fame players need to make Hall of Fame plays. Brady, pre-snap, can see that more than likely with Chancellor in this weird alignment, that Chancellor is probably going to be man-to-man versus Rob Gronkowski. Now, how does he know this? Well, your man here, more than likely that this linebacker is going to be man-to-man on the running back that's right here. So the safety being man-to-man on Gronk, this is a mismatch. Cam Chancellor versus Rob Gronkowski. And all Brady needs to see is if Earl Thomas isn't right here, you got to like this matchup. Remember, earlier on that 3rd and 6, he was able to hit Gronk when it wasn't completely wide open. So Brady's able to take that hit and hit Gronk right there. What a good read from Tom. So it was a good defensive call. It was just a Hall of Famer in Brady throwing to a Hall of Famer who beat a Hall of Famer in man coverage. I want you to see how Gronk wins, okay? We mostly think of him as a plotter, but he had some twitch. Watch this. A nice little shake, quick step to get Cam Chancellor flat-footed here, and then he gets his left arm right into Chancellor's body to create that separation. And look at when Tom is actually deciding to throw this football, y'all. This is ridiculous, okay? It's actually slightly before this image. Look at that anticipation. Look at Irvin right here. I mean, this is a ridiculous, ridiculous shot. I understand that they have the best chemistry arguably ever, but, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Now it's 2nd and 10. And once again, remember the touchdown to Gronk. It was versus KJ Wright. This is a dead giveaway that it's man coverage. So on the play before it, they hit Vareen in the flat. It was zone. Richard Sherman made a really good tackle. So now, Brady, you're just letting him know that this is going to be man coverage and he's going to like this matchup. Brady does a good job not giving away that he's going to Gronk. And he also knows that KJ Wright, no matter what, is not going to let Gronk go over the top of him in this situation. So this very well could have been an option route where Gronk has the decision to go vertically or just stop. But this is a clear situation where Brady's like, hey, I know I can make this throw. And even though there's an unblocked guy coming off the edge here, basically, look at the anticipation that Brady's throwing with. He is trusting Gronk to get open versus KJ Wright. And it is an easy pitch and catch first down. So you'll see on this next play that the overhang defender right here tries to pick off Amendola, and instead Brady goes to LaFell on the out. You know, one thing that was very interesting, and what makes this Brady performance so ridiculously good, no running game. There wasn't a single run from any of the New England running backs over 10 yards, whereas the Seahawks had 3 different rushers go for over 10 yards on a carry. And the same thing is through the air. right? The longest reception was Julian Edelman for 23 yards. The Seahawks had 3 different receivers with 30-plus yard receptions in this game. So Tom did not have the benefit of explosive plays in this game. It really had to be earned. All right, so we get to the dagger, the play that a lot of people will remember from this game. There was no other big play that happened after this. It's Julian Edelman on the whip. Now, remember, we showed you that earlier, Julian Edelman on a whip route, that Brady just missed him. But you could make a very strong case that this game is not won by the Patriots if Lane stayed healthy. And I love Darryl Simon. I really, really, really do. He really is one of my favorite DBs. He was also an LSU Tiger. I had classes with Darryl Simon, but this was a really tough spot to guard one of the best Super Bowl receivers of all time. We're going to do some other Brady Super Bowl breakdowns. Bang, this one's floating in your face. And we'll talk to you soon, baby. S! Power Hour NFL. Boom! This guy right here. Tonight, we're doing